Hello, everyone. This is Manoj Shah from FinSmart Accounting. Welcome to this Smart Outsourcing Talk Show. And we have a guest today, Scotty Scarano. Welcome, Scotty, to this Smart Accounting Outsourcing Talk Show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. To give you a brief about Scotty, he is a president of Parrot Business Services, where he's built a modern automation driven firm focused on growth, efficiency, and people first approach. His leadership is defined by embracing outsourcing, technology, and innovation, making his firm a model of what future of accounting looks like. But that's not the only thing. He is known for the Accounting High podcast, right? And where he explores bold topics around mental health, leadership, firm culture, and evolution of accounting profession. And yes, he's also known as the OKR, the only one OKR, I would say, OK rapper, blending music, storytelling, and accounting in a way only he can. His creative flair adds to freshness, human dimension to an industry often seen as a very traditional and boring one. So Scott's voice is authentic, his perspective is original, and his mission is clear to challenge the status quo and help firm owners think differently. So, Scotty, welcome to this show. Great to have you here with us.
Thank you for that beautiful intro. That was awesome.
Yeah. So, how all this started? Maybe you can give us a little brief, what made you come into accounting and then how accounting high started.
Yeah. I feel like I was born into this. My grandfather was a CPA. He had a CPA firm up in New York, and my dad worked there when I was young. My dad eventually picked up and moved from New York to North Carolina, started or picked up my grandfather's soft. So my grandfather started a software business in his accounting firm,
Hmm.
and he split that off. And then my dad took over the software business. My grandfather was a CPA and ran his firm till he died. And it just, I think that imprinted on me that I wanted to be an accountant. So when I was young, I would always say I wanted to be an actor and an accountant or an accountant, maybe both. I don't know. I didn't know how that would work, but that's what I wanted to be, an actor or entertainer. So yeah, I ended up going into accounting, the safe route, made some money, and then eventually I started doing some entertainment stuff. So I guess we'll talk about that today. But I never got my CPA. I'm an EA, an enrolled agent,
Hmm.
and my practice now is about 1.5, 1.7 million. I've
Right.
got 10 employees, five of them in the Philippines and five of them here in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Right.
Um, yeah, and the firm is pretty much running without me at this point. So I would say I worked myself out of a job, and that's why I started doing the entertaining stuff, the podcast and the rapping.
It's a very rare combination, right? So generally accountant communities need seems to be very serious, drowned in excel and stuff
Why
like
so serious?
that.
Why so serious?
Yeah, so that was I coming to, so how you it's a very rare occasion to see accountant, a non-serious accountant, and especially accounting and creativity are two very very different dimensions. So how do you actually blend it?
It's not easy. It's not easy to blend it. That right brain and left brain, they don't like to work in community. They kind
Mhm.
of conflicting views.
Mhm.
One wants things in order and wants a right answer, wants
Mhm.
to do things the the right way. There's a right and the wrong way, and then creativity. There is no right way. There is
Mhm.
no right answer, and there's nothing. There's no rails. I have to create guardrails when I want to be creative.
Mhm.
So I found that it was I used and leveraged accounting as my constraint to anything I wanted to do creatively.
Mhm.
And as long as I could keep it within that accounting bubble, then
Mhm.
I was free to do anything creative within that I wanted. So I tried to blend it, and I've been doing that somewhat successfully, but it's very difficult.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Yeah.
can't go back and do accounting. I can tell you that now. Now that I've started doing this entertaining stuff,
Uh,
I I had to do one tax return this year, and it was mine, and it was a struggle. I can
okay.
tell you that. I used to do hundreds of returns every year.
Mm.
Now I did one, so
Mm.
it's it's not easy to blend the two.
Yeah. So, Scotty, tell me, how this accounting high was born. What made you start that?
Uh, so eventually, when I did phase myself out of all the roles that I had in the firm, and I did have a lot of roles in the firm,
Hmm.
I was at a point where I did have a lot of free time too. And
Hmm.
so I wanted to do something productive with that time. So I wrote on a whiteboard that I have over here,
Hmm.
what are the most important problems in the accounting and tax field?
Hmm.
And what can I do to help further that conversation? What and selfishly, how can I learn to run a better firm? How
Hmm.
can I learn to be a better firm owner now
Hmm.
that I have all this free time? Let's explore that. And so I just wanted to talk to people in the profession that were doing some really cool things with
Hmm.
their practices.
Hmm.
I had a friend of mine through Zero that I had met, Jason Ackerman, and we started a podcast. At first, before it was Accounting High, it was Sons of CPAs.
Okay.
So early 2021, late
Hmm.
2020, we
Hmm.
started recording episodes,
Hmm.
and it evolved from there. I like to say Sons of CPAs was our middle school days, and we graduated and we went to Accounting High.
Okay.
So that's how Accounting High started. Accounting High was my vision that
Hmm.
I had for a metaphorical high school in accounting.
Hmm.
So I just had fun with that. I had fun with that metaphor for high school and used that and turned the podcast into a classroom.
Great. And I am just seeing that you keep saying that you have a lot of free time. I'm sure the people who are watching, all the accounting firm owners, must be surprised, right? Because most of the time people are drowned in the tax season, and a lot of client pressure and stuff like that. So before I actually go to accounting high, let's step back and tell me, how did you make this happen? How did you make yourself free?
Yeah, it's a great question. Um, it was a lot of intentional hard work. So around 2015, 2016, maybe 2016,
Hmm.
we started doing EOS.
Okay.
And with EOS, I saw a path toward that freedom. Um, but it required me to change a lot of things at the firm, change my mindset around leadership and change my mindset around delegation, change
Hmm.
my mindset around trust.
Hmm.
And it was all of those intangible things that allowed me to get out of the firm. I had
Hmm.
to change my ambitions too. And because we had a lot of growth, I would say from 2011 to
Hmm.
2016, we
Hmm.
grew maybe $800,000 at the firm.
Wow.
Um, and I hit a ceiling around that time. Once we got to about 1.2 million, I
Hmm.
hit a ceiling. We would continue to grow, but then we would lose people or lose clients.
Hmm.
And I didn't really know what I was doing. It
Hmm.
was trial by
Hmm.
fire. It was
Hmm.
making mistakes as I went and learning from those mistakes.
Hmm.
But it wasn't until EOS that I was able to see myself as an actual visionary
Hmm.
and step away from. So EOS is Entrepreneurial Operating System based
Hmm.
off of the book Traction by
Hmm.
Gino Wickman.
Hmm.
And we had an implementer. We had somebody
Hmm.
drilling into us how
Hmm.
we were supposed to do it. So I created a management team,
Hmm.
and I would say it took about 4 years from the inception of using and doing and practicing the new system of EOS
Hmm.
to me actually phasing myself out of everything. Because first I had to phase myself out of doing the work.
Hmm.
Then I had to phase myself out of doing the reviewing
Hmm.
of everybody else's work.
Hmm.
Then I had to phase myself out of a lot of client interactions and get train clients to go to the team and not to me.
Okay.
Then I had to train myself to trust the team to handle stuff without me looking over their shoulder and
Hmm.
reviewing everything that was going on.
Hmm.
And then eventually I got myself out of sales too because I held on to sales for the longest time because I thought nobody else could do sales as good as I could.
Hmm.
And it's rare for an accountant to like sales and to like doing that, but I'm all about making money. So I was always about handling the sales because I could do, I was a pretty good salesperson.
Hmm.
I've always been into selling and running businesses ever since I was really young. I was doing
Hmm.
stuff like that in high
Hmm.
school and
Hmm.
all throughout college.
Hmm.
I had my own little side businesses, some of them legal, some of them illegal, but those are stories for another day.
Hmm.
So that's sort of how I phased myself out. It was steps
Hmm.
along the way,
Hmm.
but I owe almost all of it to EOS and mindset shifts along the way.
Yeah, looks like EOS is a great system, right? So if somebody wants to get into that, how do they start?
Yeah. Read the book Traction first.
Okay.
And there are plenty of EOS is now,
Hmm.
nationwide, global, and there's
Hmm.
plenty of integrators, implementers, or I'm
Hmm.
not going to say plenty of integrators. Integrators are role at the firm, but
Hmm.
implementers, people that can help you implement EOS at your practice.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but the first thing you would want to do is find a management team within your firm. If you're doing everything yourself,
Hmm.
you're not going to be able to step away.
Hmm.
I had to separate myself from certain roles
Okay.
altogether and put somebody else and make them accountable
Hmm.
for that. So they had to lead, and I had to create leaders in
Hmm.
order for me to step away.
Hmm.
So I, I've I owe all of it to my team now. My team is running the
Yeah.
firm, and it's doing better than ever now. So
Absolutely great to hear this. So, Scotty, tell me, which was the most challenging role to give up, or maybe to
mm,
find the right person for that role?
sales,
Okay.
sales, yeah. The other roles were naturally a fit for everybody because analytical and the right brain stuff, the
Hmm.
accountant stuff.
Hmm.
I have two people that are handling the running of the practice, and neither of them really wanted to do sales. One of them was more client facing and handled everything onboarding
Hmm.
and interacting with the clients. Another
Hmm.
one was back office, managing the team, making
Hmm.
sure everything flowed smoothly, managing carbon.
Hmm.
And neither of them really wanted to do sales because they just saw how I did it. And maybe they didn't think they could do it. Maybe they didn't have the confidence,
Hmm.
but it was probably about a year of intentional training and doing calls with them
Hmm.
and trying to get them out of their own way as we all do, as we all get in our own ways when we're doing something and we're not confident about it.
Hmm.
And so it was a lot of trial by fire, trial and error. And, they made mistakes on their own.
Hmm.
And eventually we figured it out. And now it's both of them running sales too.
Hmm.
So I trained them to do the sales. We created a commission system for them, and
Okay.
it's been pretty sustainable. The thing that I do now at the firm is I handle the review and approval of their commissions. So we
Okay.
do that every 3 months. So this past
Hmm.
quarter, they got $10,000 for their sales
Oh, wow.
commission, and that's extra on top of their salary. So
Fantastic.
they were pretty happy. Yeah, they closed $100,000 of sales last quarter. So that
Oh,
was pretty
wow.
good. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah. And tell us a little about, how you said you have 5 people in Philippines. So, how this offshoring journey started.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great question too, because that was something that we didn't think was possible in the beginning, or my team
Hmm.
disagreed with, and it was something that I wanted to push forward
Hmm.
because of the cost savings.
Hmm.
There's tremendous cost savings, but it wasn't just the cost savings; it was actually the output and the
Hmm.
work that was being done. Because
Hmm.
once we started experimenting with it,
Hmm.
it was introduced to me by a friend of mine. Will Lopez was
Hmm.
using somebody at his firm before he started at Gusto.
Hmm.
They used to be Double Rule. Now they're the back room.
Hmm.
So not to advertise for them on your show, but that's
Hmm.
how I found them.
Hmm.
And we started working with them, and my team
Hmm.
was very reluctant and hesitant to start handing over the work
Hmm.
to an offshore team.
Hmm.
So we started with the lowest of levels of bookkeeping and write
Hmm.
up type work.
Hmm.
Um, and we started to see that they were doing better work than the people that we had hired here.
Hmm.
So, especially during the early stages when we were doing this,
Hmm.
we were hiring people, and then for various reasons, people were just they would either quiet quit, or they'd
Hmm.
be lazy, especially if they were working from home.
Hmm.
Um, it wasn't a I didn't have a very good experience with hiring remotely here, but
Hmm.
hiring remotely in the Philippines and
Hmm.
outsourcing worked
Hmm.
out tremendously. They're a
Hmm.
part of our team now. So we consider all of the everybody
Hmm.
that's there as part of our team. We
Hmm.
don't really see much of a difference with time difference isn't that big of a deal for us
Hmm.
because of the way we work, because
Hmm.
everybody's pretty autonomous
Sure.
and working on their own, and
Hmm.
we don't require a lot of
mm,
synchronicity in the times of working.
mm,
And the communication has been great, but this has been going on
mm,
6 years now.
mm,
It doesn't have any signs of slowing down because every time we need more, we
mm,
hire there first.
mm. Sure.
Now, my team
So,
here is client
mm,
facing, though. My team
mm,
here handles most of the client facing work.
okay, sure.
Um,
Mm,
Sometimes the team there interacts with clients if they have questions, but
mm,
typically it's going to go through the team here.
okay, yeah. So, in fact, post COVID, there is a huge capacity challenge in US for finding a right accountant, and everybody knows about it that there is an offshoring, outsourcing options available where you can have a access to the global talent, but many of the people have huge hesitation to start that. So, how did you overcome that?
We had to create systems for it. So we had to have all the right tech in place first before we could even consider
Hmm,
that.
hmm,
We had to be very intentional about
hmm,
training and the systems and how the work was going to be completed.
hmm,
But that took some time. That took, again, trial and error, figuring out what worked and what didn't work.
hmm,
I remember I was very impatient with it. And I wanted, once I saw that it was working, I
hmm,
wanted to get all of our clients
hmm,
and everybody loaded up and be assigned somebody
hmm,
over there
hmm,
just so we had everybody on the same system. But
hmm,
it took us at least 2 years
hmm,
to slowly get that
hmm,
fully.
hmm,
Like I would say 2 seasons to
hmm,
get everything working and everybody in place at the Philippines.
hmm,
Um,
hmm.
and it
And
was a lot of work by my management team. They handled most of it and they interact mostly with the team there.
hmm,
Um, Early days, I had a VA there, a virtual assistant, and he
hmm,
helped me get organized, but he also helped me continue
hmm,
to phase myself out to
hmm,
where I don't even work with them anymore because they're handling my email for me.
hmm,
So
hmm.
they're in my email box and they're pushing it to where it needs to go.
Wow.
And I don't even really use email much anymore. I go in and scroll if there's something that I want to
Hmm,
see or if there's something I need or if
hmm,
I need a password or
hmm.
something like a two-factor authentication, then I'll go in there. But
That's great. Yeah, yeah. And how easy or difficult it was to convince your internal team for outsourcing? Because I keep hearing that most of the times, when you are creating a blended team, it's very challenging to convince an in-house team about pushing work outside.
yeah, it's a great question. I think in the beginning, I didn't have all the right people too. So some people were threatened by that,
Hmm.
but those were people that probably should have been threatened by it. They may not be with me anymore, but they were threatened by that because they were the type of people that wanted to sit back and not even interact with clients.
Hmm.
And they were the ones that their job was
Hmm.
quote unquote replaceable.
Hmm.
Um, and so the ones that are still with me and that were there that were for that, they
Hmm.
trusted the system and they trusted what we were building.
Hmm.
And they also, but now they love the team there because
Hmm.
they're better. They're more they're more on top of things. And I would say it's the general just mindset of the
Hmm.
people they're working. They appreciate their jobs and they appreciate the work,
Hmm.
and they're not taking any of it for granted.
Hmm.
Um, or they're not, I don't know. There's something about the vibe that I got from
Hmm.
those I was hiring here versus those there in
Hmm.
those roles.
Hmm. Yeah. So I think I mean it takes. So you said you took you 2 years to push everything and make it streamlined. So it needs to be really a strategy for building a long-term sustainable growth firm to make this happen, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you
I can
if
also share some of the steps we took to
mm,
before we even started
yeah.
outsourcing to allow us to do
Mm,
that. We used to have just people doing everything for the client. So we would have one person that was
mm,
doing all
mm,
of the work required for the client.
mm,
And eventually found out that that wasn't sustainable. After we had somebody that managed a lot of clients and then we
mm,
lost them, we
mm,
realized this is a lot of work. So we
mm,
need to start creating layers
mm,
of roles for the client work and splitting this out so
mm,
there's some overlap and so there's two people. So we created a role of
mm,
account manager and
mm,
bookkeeper
mm,
here in the US. So
mm,
we would hire bookkeepers
mm,
and we would hire account managers and
mm,
account manage and there would be two people for every account for
mm,
every client.
mm,
And that way the client had 2 points of contact and that was working out really good. It was just very
mm,
expensive
mm,
because the bookkeepers here, we were paying 4 or 5 times more than what we're paying in the Philippines. And this was
mm,
before we even explored that. And
mm,
once we started exploring and we
mm,
saw the difference between the bookkeeper role that we had defined here
mm,
and having that same role
mm,
working out of the Philippines,
mm.
huge cost savings.
Yeah.
That is primarily why I'm able to
Mm,
be why I was able to phase myself out of a job. I don't think I'd have any money left for me if I was just
mm.
paying all
Yeah.
5 more people here
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. And also it gives you this savings means, so people who are working here, you can pay more and make them more performer, and
Yeah,
make them more happy as well, right? Because
yeah.
it helps to scale up the firm and scale up increase the profitability of there.
Yeah, my team now is very happy with the way things are going,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
and where the way they have gone since
Hmm.
then. And a
Hmm.
lot of them have all been with me for
Hmm.
over 5, 6 years, 7 years. Some of them over 10 years.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. That's great. Yeah. So I think everybody would be envying your position, because not many accounting firm owners can do something like this, to actually step away from the business and put them on autopilot.
yeah, I
Um,
warn you
it's
against
hard
the
work.
envy, though. I think that could create some discord. I think it's more of just inspiration. I'd like to inspire people to do what I did because that's how I did it. I
Yeah.
did it by learning from others and
Yeah.
learning from my own mistakes.
Yeah.
So
And in fact, not just that. Okay, so one is that you have put your firm into autopilot, which is growing, scaling, everything, and then you are putting your creativity into accounting. So let's talk more about that now.
sure, sure, yeah.
So so talk about the importance of humor and creativity in our profession, which is largely missing a lot, which I see.
Yeah, so it was very, very, very important to me to do things that made it less boring. So accounting has always been perceived as boring,
Hmm.
and I tried to make my business fun, and I would do creative things within the business. So I
Hmm.
was making accounting creative within my firm. I tried to make my business creative and run my business creatively,
Hmm.
um, and it would show in the different ways that I would show up, and the
Hmm.
things that I would do, and it would resonate with clients. The way that we did our team page,
Hmm.
and we made that really fun. We had a photo shoot, and everybody brought their personality with them. So we took some fun pictures
Hmm.
and some serious pictures, and I've
Okay.
and I've we
Hmm.
did that within the office. The way we decorated the office, just the
Hmm.
things that I did, and it attracted the people that
Hmm.
saw that didn't like the perception of accounting being boring, and they wanted to work with an accountant that was fun. So
Hmm.
people would come to us, and we grew
Hmm.
primarily because we were the fun accountants.
Hmm.
Um, I took that, and then I tried to be creative outside of just the business.
Hmm.
So uh, naturally, that's just how I thought, and I think that that's just what I brought with me to when I started the podcast. I
Hmm.
wanted to do something that was fun, that was entertaining, but it
Hmm.
was also in accounting.
Hmm.
Um, and it was a way for me to do something creative and
Hmm.
also try to make some money doing it too. Because I thought, well, if I created a podcast and I created
Yeah.
an audience, then
Hmm.
I could monetize that and I
Hmm.
could
Hmm.
advertise
Hmm.
and I could take all the people that were marketing to me as
Hmm.
a firm owner
Hmm.
and then funnel that and turn that into something that I can market to all of the audience.
Hmm.
And I saw others doing it too. So I was like, this is a fun
Yeah.
thing that I could do to occupy my time. And
Hmm.
I got very invested in it and I was enjoying every minute of it, building that out and learning. And I was terrible at it in the beginning. I was interrupting people and I didn't know what I was doing on the podcast. I was just learning. I was
Hmm.
learning how to be a better overall, just a better listener
Hmm.
too. And
Hmm.
and then I was learning.
Hmm.
So that was that was a thrill, those early days doing the podcast and learning from people and meeting new people and
Hmm.
then starting to go to more conferences and then
Hmm.
being recognized at conferences
Hmm.
and hearing that I was helping people and I was
Hmm.
inspiring people. So
Hmm.
that's what fueled more of the growth and the creativity. And I just wanted to grow
Hmm.
something different.
Hmm.
I was because my firm was in a stable
Hmm.
position.
Hmm.
I wanted to focus my time on something else. So
Hmm.
that
Sure.
was what was the impetus to all of it, I think.
That's great. So, Scotty, can you share some of the customer stories? Because, how this is perceived that if you build humor, if you are creative, then on the other side people may feel, okay, you are non-professional. So
Oh,
they
oh, for sure.
yeah.
Those are the people that aren't our customers, though. The
Yeah.
ones that thought we were unprofessional in the way that
Mm,
we did things, they
mm,
showed
mm,
that their distaste for the things that we were doing,
mm,
and they didn't work with us, and
mm,
that was okay. At first, I wanted everybody to work with us. Every lead that we got, I
mm,
thought would be a good fit,
mm,
but when they reacted that way to our quote unquote unprofessionalism or how we acted,
mm,
they just weren't a good fit. And so
mm,
we learned that along the way
mm,
that it was better not to work with those clients. They weren't going to gel with us anyway, because
mm,
I am a reflection of my team too, or my
mm,
team is a reflection of me.
mm,
And they were also going to
mm,
have a little bit of humor and
mm,
not take themselves too seriously. You can't take yourself too seriously,
yeah.
or life is going to be a
Mm,
bore.
mm, mm,
Life is going to be a challenge if you take yourself
mm,
too seriously.
mm, mm,
So I think that naturally, that's just how
mm,
we evolved and how we grew, and the people
mm,
that were gravitated and
mm,
were gravitating toward us,
mm,
they wanted to work with us.
mm,
The
mm,
ones that thought that they're better suited to work with the standard accountant, and most accountants are standard and
mm,
aren't going to show themselves, aren't
mm,
going to show too much of themselves.
mm,
Um, Not the ones I run into. The
mm,
accountants I meet at conferences and the ones that have listened to my show and
mm,
the ones that I know, a
mm,
lot of them have personality and they have
mm,
humor and they have
yeah.
joy. But
Mm,
there's, I guess it's like anything else. It's like any other business. You got some,
mm,
and so that's how it was with clients.
mm, mm, mm.
Good question.
And do you remember any customer stories about how they were appreciating you when you started this? Because most of the times, I'm sure they wouldn't have faced some fun when they go to any accounting firm,
So
or
the types of clients that we attracted. So we in the beginning, I remember a guy who owned a bunch of comic book stores,
oh, okay.
and then he knew a lot of other comic book store owners
Mm,
in the US, in the
mm,
area, and he
mm,
started referring,
mm,
and those business owners naturally have a
mm,
lot of creativity
mm,
and they don't take themselves too seriously.
yeah.
So it was the types of clients
Mm,
that were attracted to us, and
mm,
the types of businesses we started working with.
mm,
Because we work with all small businesses,
mm,
the persona and the personality of a lot of the
mm,
business owners were
mm,
also fun and engaging and creative, and they were running their businesses
mm,
creative too. So we
mm,
could relate on a lot of levels.
mm. Yeah, great. And how this okay rapper thing started,
Ah, so that
and
started after the
I
podcast.
I remember all your I mean, I was there at Intuit Connect, I was at ZeroCon, pretty much I saw you everywhere, and at BTG, bridging the
Yep.
gap. Someday I'll come to you for FinSmart also. We want to make a anthem.
An anthem for Spin Smart, we can make that happen. We can
Yes,
make that
yes,
happen, or at least a theme for the podcast.
yeah.
Um, so it was a dream of mine forever since I was younger. Like, so I wanted to be accountant because of my grandfather, but I
Mm,
wanted to be a rapper because of
mm,
Eminem,
mm,
because of Outkast, because of Jay-Z,
mm,
because of all of the rappers that I was listening to. I
mm,
saw myself in that, and I always wanted to do that, but I was afraid to.
mm,
I didn't think I could pursue that.
mm,
After some early, you know, I think in the beginning, I was there was fear driving a lot of my decision not to do that.
mm,
And it wasn't until I started doing the podcast and I started messing with editing
mm,
and being on a mic
mm,
that it kind of clicked. Like, talking on here and putting myself out there and doing this and just talking on a podcast in a regular voice
mm,
is not that much different than rapping. At
mm,
least I didn't think so. And I wanted to incorporate music into the
mm,
podcast anyway.
mm,
So I thought,
mm,
let me take a shot at this. So there's a song by Outkast called AT Aliens
mm,
that I knew all the words for growing up.
mm.
And I had the bright idea one night to turn it into CP Aliens, and
Okay.
I just did a parody of that one, and
Mm,
I talked about my story, and I talked about accounting, and I turned it into an accounting rap, and it was different, it was unique, but it was me,
mm,
and I had that, and it took me about 6 months
mm,
to write it and practice it, and then
mm,
record it, and
mm,
then invited to be on the FreshBooks Partner Council,
mm,
and there was going to be an event, and I asked if I could rap at the
mm,
event
mm,
at one of those nights.
mm.
And that was the first time I ever performed, and it was on a boat in Toronto with a bunch of accountants, and I performed CP Aliens, and it was a hit. They
Which year
loved it.
was this?
What?
Which year was this?
This was in 2022,
Oh,
maybe
not too far.
2021.
Okay.
I think it was 2022 because I think that's
Mm,
when I first started writing it. So it
mm,
was toward the end of 2022,
mm,
um, in August, I think, and that was the first. Actually, let me
mm,
backtrack. I
mm,
had that written, and I knew that was happening, but the
mm.
first performance I had was August 2022 for my daughter's 15th
Oh,
birthday party,
oh,
and
oh,
I
wow.
performed a rap for her.
Yeah.
So I had been doing some of the raps for
Mm,
accounting,
mm,
but I wanted to also try doing this for her party. So we had
mm,
a big quinceanera, big party for my daughter,
mm,
and I had written a song and I performed it. And
mm.
oof, you don't want to see a video for that. I was very nervous on that one. It went well because it was all family there and friends and
Yeah.
stuff. But then the next one was on a boat,
Mm,
and this accounting thing was working. It was like, wow, I saw everybody on that boat light up on some of the
mm,
lines because it was
mm,
stuff that they could relate to,
mm,
and they were able to keep up with it too. It was a rap, but it was like I heard like the things were landing. So that sparked
mm,
me wanting to do this full time, and that's all I did. I still
mm,
focused on the
mm,
podcast, but I
mm,
started writing raps for different things and
mm,
different and I started doing some of the ads on the show
mm,
as raps.
mm.
So if somebody wanted a sponsor, I gave them the option that I could write a rap for them too.
Mm, mm,
And it spiraled up from there.
mm.
And I spent a lot of time writing. I think I've done about 30, over 30 accounting raps at this
Oh,
point.
wow. That
Yeah.
is a lot. In 3 years, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And I see the resemblance. You are wearing a red cap, and I always see you in the red dress when you are rapping.
Same as your colors, right?
Yeah. So is Scotty and red go somewhere where
I think it's a midlife thing. I think this was so part of the other reason I didn't share that, but part of the other reason was I was 38 when I started doing this, and I saw around the corner I was going to be 40, and I wanted to do it before I turned 40. So it
okay.
was like before that, and then I know it was sort of the joke too, like midlife crisis, men get red Corvettes or red cars, and that's the thing. So I started getting red
Wow.
shoes. Because I like to walk. So it was I was changing my colors. I was changing my
Mm,
stripes. I
mm,
wore a lot of blue, and everything I did was blue. But I
mm,
had to rebrand the podcast, and when I
mm,
rebranded it, I picked red.
uh,
And so the accounting high colors were red and
mm,
black, or
mm,
red and whatever.
mm,
Um, and so that was the yeah, but it was sort of more of like the joke on the midlife thing.
mm,
And fortunately, my daughter is now, who was turning 15
mm,
with that first story,
mm,
she's now going to college,
mm,
and she picked NC State, and NC
mm.
State colors are red, so that fits. So I could
Yeah.
now the red is for NC State for my daughter's school.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Great. And talking little about the coming back to accounting, and talking little about the outdated norms in the industry. So um, what do you feel, where the industry is growing, I mean going, and what do you feel something which is outdated that needs to change?
Yeah, we can't talk about this without talking about AI and what AI is going to do to
Mm,
all of this. AI is not human, but
mm,
it's going to do things better than a lot of humans could analytically, as we have seen and as we are seeing.
mm,
I think that also a lot of the work that we've automated,
mm,
that's not never going to change. I think we're going to be able to continue to automate.
mm,
And what I did with my firm and how I stepped away, I
mm,
think people are going to be able to do that with a lot of the work that they're doing now with AI.
mm,
The future is going to be just client interaction.
mm,
People still want to have a relationship with somebody that can give them advice.
mm,
And whether you think AI can do that or not,
mm,
because it will
mm,
be able to do
mm,
analytical and give advice.
mm,
But I think people still need that human to human contact, and I think they always will. And
mm,
AI won't replace that. And I think that's where our role is going to be, is just
mm.
the intersection of humans.
Yeah.
because the computers are going to be handling. We won't need to spend that much time in front of computers anymore.
Mm, mm,
We do a lot now. It,
mm,
it
mm,
it steadily went from us being in
mm,
front of a screen, just in front of our TVs, to
mm,
now being in front of screens
mm,
all day, every day, and
mm,
everybody is.
mm,
But
mm.
my prediction might be that we do less and less in front of the screens and more in front of the faces and in front of the people.
Yeah.
That's where accounting is going, is the
Mm,
relationship you have with the clients.
mm,
None of that's ever going to change.
mm, mm. And how this relationship would change with AI?
Well, the relationship with AI is going to become part of everything that we're doing.
Mm,
Um, as it may already, as you may notice, or
mm,
as you may not notice.
mm,
You may not notice how much it might be doing in some of the background processes, or even some of the automation.
mm,
Um, but I think, intentionally or not, it's going to slowly take over a lot of the work that we're doing.
mm,
Um,
mm,
so our relationship with it, I mean, it's just like our relationship with our GL or
mm,
with spreadsheets.
mm,
Um, I don't think anybody should feel threatened by it, because as accountants felt threatened by the spreadsheet, it
mm.
became our most trusted tool.
Yeah,
Accountants love
exactly.
spreadsheets now, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guarantee you, when
Mm,
computers first came out, spreadsheets first
mm,
came out, and accountants
mm,
saw how fast all
mm.
that processing could be done in a
Yeah.
spreadsheet, they were
Mm,
threatened by it. They were
mm.
probably threatened by computers and by the internet,
Yeah,
but what would some of these accountants do without their spreadsheets and
yeah,
their calculators? What
yeah,
about before we had calculators and
yeah,
we had to do things by hand?
yeah, yeah.
So this is
It
just
is-
going to be the new
Mm,
tool that we
mm,
have, that we love. And I
mm,
think all accountants are going to love it
mm.
once once it becomes integrated into everything we're doing.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, it also happened when industrial revolution happened in 40s. So
Mm.
everybody was threatened by the automation, but see how things have changed, world has moved, and we have grown only.
Yeah, and so we're going to have to get back outside.
Mm,
A lot of people spend most of the day inside sitting in front of a
mm,
screen, and then they complain about it after,
mm,
because I've been sitting for too long, or I've been, and so I think
mm,
they're going to appreciate what
mm,
AI is going to be able to do for them.
mm,
It's not going to replace them. It's going to replace the time
mm,
doing the things that they don't want to do.
mm. Sure. Yeah, yeah. Just 1 second. My laptop battery is running out. So,
Sure.
and we are recording, so we can edit. So, just give me 1 second.
No worries.
Yeah, sorry for that.
It's all good.
Yeah. Okay. So Scotty, one thing I wanted to ask you is that what is the role of branding? When you are scaling up firm, because I'm sure the way you have branded your firm, the way you have created accounting, the way you have now branding yourself as an okay rapper. So it's all purely a brand game, right? How do you play this? What is your tips to the accounting firm owners, that what's the importance of branding for your firm?
Oh, great question. So branding has always been very, very important to me. And I think that's because of my mom and the influence she's had.
Hmm.
She was always been about the brand and creating the brand for their software, and
Hmm.
building around that. But I've also just seen it in real life through Apple and through other brands that I've been associated with or
Hmm.
attached to, BMW and things like that. And then seeing rappers turn themselves into brands, or entertainers
Hmm.
do that.
Hmm.
So, and it helped that I was part of a franchise, because they had an established brand, and it wasn't a brand that was just me. It wasn't like I branded my firm
Sure.
Scott Scarano,
Hmm.
CPA, or
Hmm.
EA, whatever.
Hmm.
But like my grandfather did. My grandfather didn't. Maybe the brand was him, because it was Frank J. Scarano,
Hmm.
CPA.
Hmm.
But but branding was very important, and because the franchise had been going through a couple of different rebrands, I
mm,
got to see that process behind the scenes. So I was helping with their marketing,
mm,
and I helped them create the new rebrand at
mm,
one point too. So I saw a lot of the cool things and
mm,
deciding the color and how
mm,
important colors were,
mm,
and everything about the brand,
mm,
and brands speak to you at a different level when you
mm,
recognize that. And
mm,
so I really went all in on that when I changed the brand for the podcast too. So
mm,
because I saw the rebrand in the firm and
mm,
all the phases there, I
mm,
did that, recreated that when I rebranded Sons of CPAs to Accounting High.
mm,
And then as I started creating the brand for the rapper, it was all about the brand, and that was what mattered most. So that's why you comment on me wearing red,
mm,
because that was part of the brand.
mm,
Part of the brand was the red, or the bold color,
mm,
and that was matched. It's like what Apple does with their hardware and their software. You want the hardware and the software to match, right? So the
mm,
personality and the relationship and the
mm,
thing and the intangible stuff
mm,
about a person,
mm,
if that could also be matched with the intangible things that you saw on the outside,
mm.
then you have that seamless experience that you would have with a Mac or an iPhone
Right.
or anything else Apple. I like to use Apple as that example because
Mm.
they created everything
Yeah.
as part of their brand.
Mm,
So that was, in essence, what I wanted to recreate as I was creating brands around this.
mm.
Um, and it's funny you mentioned that now, because I'm also creating a new brand. I'm in the process of creating a new brand,
Yeah.
but it involves my kids. So
Mm,
I have 3 kids, and I
mm,
have myself that's been rapping and performing, and my
mm,
oldest daughter has
mm,
been on a lot of tracks with
mm.
me. So
Oh.
anytime I need a female vocalist, my
Mm.
oldest daughter's been in chorus and she's been singing, so she sings for me. I
I
got
saw her in the last ZeroCon, I guess.
Yeah, you heard her. You
Yeah.
saw somebody different
Yeah.
because they wouldn't let her on stage because she wasn't 18.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I mean, you were roaming around with her, so I
oh, you
saw.
did meet her. Yes, that's right. That's right. Okay, so you met my daughter.
Yeah.
So I got my son rapping, and
Mm,
my youngest is singing now, and I'm making songs and music with them, not
mm,
for accounting, but
mm,
we're creating a new brand. We're just going to call it the Scaranos,
mm.
and we're
Wow,
making
that's
music
great.
videos out of
Mm,
Dr. Seuss books.
mm.
So stay tuned
Fantastic.
for that. Um, it's been a ton of fun, but it's a new brand that we're working on, and
Mm,
it's interesting because I it's a brand, but it's the same last name as my grandfather used for his CPA firm.
mm.
This one's going to have nothing to do with accounting, but I want it to. I want to create a brand for that too.
So
So that's what I've been spending a lot of my time with, because my kids are young and I want to be able to spend more time with them while they're
mm,
still growing.
fantastic. All the best to you and your kids as well.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
It's just it's magical to
Yeah.
see them light
Mm,
up, and they're so uninhibited, and to
mm,
see them, the magic in their eyes when they're
yeah.
doing something new and creative, and
Mm,
the ideas that they have too, because
mm,
obviously they take after me, and so I
mm,
see them being creative and coming up with new things, and
mm.
it's a great idea, and then we run with that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
And Scotty, you are a brand guy, so let me ask you this, so what's the role of storytelling in the creating a brand? Because, many a times the narrative is so complex. How do you simplify and present yourself, or, how do you storify that in?
Storytelling is everything. That's everything. You could have all of the facts, and if you're delivering it in a dull, boring way, nobody's going to listen.
Mm,
They want to feel like they are a part of the story, and the
mm,
story is speaking to them. Whether it's a
mm,
client that you want to speak to and you
mm,
want to tell the story,
mm,
and you have to tell their story to them in a way that they haven't even heard it before,
mm,
too. And then you capture them, and then you've got an audience and they're listening.
mm,
Whatever that story is, and
mm,
however you can tell it,
mm,
it makes it relatable. And I learned that
mm,
I learned that unconsciously, and I think I was doing it subconsciously throughout the days of the firm,
mm,
but I really learned it through the podcasts. And
mm,
as I was experimenting with that, and as I was learning and growing, I was learning how to really hone in that skill and become better
mm.
storyteller. and
mm,
it starts with finding something that's relatable, that means something to you too.
mm.
If you can't tell a story that means something to you, then nobody else is going to be able to connect
Yeah,
with it. So
absolutely.
people being able to see themselves in your story is
Mm,
also very important.
mm, mm. So, where do you see yourself, Scotty, maybe 5 years down the line? How many more brands you're going to create?
It's a good question. I don't know. I've felt very discouraged by the um, because I lost interest already in the accounting high, and so I've
Okay.
discouraged myself because
Mm,
I did the tournament for 2 years. We didn't talk about that on this show, but
mm,
you saw it.
mm,
The March it was a March Madness style tournament, and it was so much effort, so much work, but we had 64 brands
mm,
all competing in this tournament to create the one winner, just like
mm,
you have in March Madness
mm,
basketball tournament. And
mm,
we did it for 2 years in a row, and then this year I was just tired and I
mm,
couldn't handle it and do it all myself. And
mm,
I also felt that way about the podcast too, because I put all this stuff on my back, and it
mm,
wasn't like I was trying to make like it wasn't like I don't know what I was trying to do with it
mm,
besides have fun.
mm,
At
mm,
first, it was like I could make some money doing this,
mm,
but then it just turned into something that was uplifting, and
mm,
it was just fun to
mm,
do.
mm,
So I took a pause on it, and I think
mm,
and we didn't do the tournament this year, and I've taken a
mm,
pause on the show
mm,
to figure out what this next phase is. And this
mm,
next phase may be the stuff I'm doing with my kids.
mm.
So for 5 years, they're still going to be kids. My
Yeah.
youngest is in first grade.
Okay.
My
Mm,
oldest is just starting college,
mm,
and Frankie, my middle child, he's
mm,
just starting middle school. So for
mm,
5 years, I could effectively spend my time with them creating content and
mm,
creating music, and
mm,
maybe you know putting all this out there. So eventually, before the end of this year, we're going to have channels on
mm,
YouTube, TikTok, and
mm,
Instagram and other places
mm.
promoting something different than accounting. So I think I'm evolving out of this.
Fantastic.
Um, Accounting
Yeah.
will always be a part of me. I'm not leaving it, and I'm not going to
Yeah.
stop. I'll still be going to conferences and stuff, and I still have my firm,
Mm,
but it
mm,
it may look different for me later.
mm.
I think I've graduated from accounting high.
Yeah. Great. And so we come to the end of the show. So just last one question I have is, um, what's your advice to the accounting professionals, in terms of adopting to the change, or, getting into something new, or, what do you see where the profession is going, and, what's the advice of yours to the firm owners?
Yeah. So for a firm owner who is stuck in the work, I strongly suggest finding what you like about the work and keeping a role at your firm. I didn't talk about this on the show, but if you enjoy what you do
Hmm.
and you don't want to just be bored and not do anything,
Hmm.
don't retire early like me, because I would have been bored if I wasn't doing all these other extra activities.
Hmm. Hmm.
Find something find something that you like in the firm and keep
Hmm.
doing that if you want to continue running your practice, because some people get a lot of joy
Hmm.
helping clients.
Hmm.
Because I phased myself out of the client facing role so quickly,
Hmm.
I lost interest in everything else. I don't want to just manage people, and I don't want to just do admin. So I
Hmm.
wanted to do something different. But
Hmm.
if I was still interacting with clients and I was still helping clients,
Hmm.
I would still have joy, and I would still want to work within my practice too.
Hmm.
But because I phased myself out of all of that,
Hmm.
I had to find something else that gave me
Hmm.
purpose.
Hmm.
That did give me purpose for many years, but I never saw my family, and I was always working.
Hmm.
So I had to figure out a way to stop working, and that was my way of getting out of the work by completely
Hmm.
letting go of all of it.
Hmm.
Now I'm letting go of this next phase of the
Hmm.
next things that I'm doing, but it's so hard to let go of something. And
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
just give yourself some grace, be
Hmm.
patient with yourself. It may not be easy.
Hmm.
It's not going to happen overnight either. And it's not a silver bullet. Everybody's situation is different. But if you can find something that you are passionate about within your practice,
Hmm.
take all the other stuff that you don't like doing, all the admin or even the managing of people,
Hmm.
and have somebody else handle that. Have
Hmm.
somebody else that likes doing that
Hmm.
handle that. Because there are people that like doing the stuff you don't like doing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and it's all about finding somebody that you trust to handle it too.
Hmm.
So finding a team that
Hmm.
can grow with you,
mm,
And if you don't like doing anything in your firm, go do what I did and find
mm,
something entertaining or start a
mm,
podcast or do something else
mm,
that you're passionate about and
mm,
see where that leads.
mm,
I
mm.
think my passion combined with my purpose is what fueled everything. And I'll never stop performing or doing this rap stuff.
Yeah,
It just may look a little different. I've
yeah.
got another performance coming up. So if you're an EA
Mm,
and you're going to be at the NAEA Summit, you'll see me there. I got a couple
yeah.
of songs that
Mm,
I'm going to be performing there. So the NAEA Summit in July, check
okay.
that out.
Mm,
That's my next performance in the accounting realm.
sure.
Um,
And which others are coming? So are you performing this year at BTG or any
I don't
other?
think so.
Uh,
No, no,
uh,
BTG, that was a
mm,
2 year run.
uh,
They
but last
Yeah,
year was just fantastic. I just loved that, you know.
yeah, last year was a good one. I did a tribute to a friend of ours who
Yeah,
had died recently
yeah,
too,
yeah.
and obviously
Mm,
the Bridging the Gap theme
yeah,
song.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. OKR is always going to still exist. I'm not quite
Mm,
retiring
mm,
OKR, but I'm just
mm.
waiting for um, the right inspiration to arise for that. But Kid Daddy is my other rap name, and that's the
Wow.
one with the kids. So, yeah,
That's great. So thank you so much, Scotty. It was just absolutely fun talking to you on this show, and thank you for being a guest. And you shared a lot of stuff for the firm owners. We talked about how did you made your firm an autopilot. Getting into accounting high podcast, OKR, rapping, creativity, branding, storytelling, everything. So it
this
was
is a
fun.
great interview. Thank you. Yeah, great preparation too.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you so much for being here at Smart Outsourcing Talks, and I'll see you in the conferences.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Peace
Yeah.
out.